Welcome to Rocky Ridge, the abandoned outskirts city, about a mile outside of Night City. Rocky Ridge is yet another sad tale of Night City, a small town with a lot of opportunity. There were never any illusions that Rocky Ridge would be the next big suburb, but it was a small, tight-knit community. They had each other's backs. They were prospering. They were happy. They were building families. Rocky Ridge had an abundance of opportunity if you were willing to work. But when the corporations pulled out their investments, there was no longer unlimited oil and other resources to be tapped. Everything got pulled out of here. And literally, within a year, no one had jobs here. It happened almost overnight, it seems. It was just so fast. And that's maybe why there's almost a apocalyptic type of feel here. There's nobody around, which is very strange considering the homelessness that exists everywhere in Night City. Everyone left. And it almost looks like it happened a week ago. There's still electricity powering these fans and that TV. And nobody ransacked this place, or nobody tried to stay, and it just became an absolute ghost town. It's just so bizarre. And I'd heard about this place here and there. You know, you throw around the term ghost town, but this place really is. A lot of people like to preach fables, but this one was true. And just look at the way that sun still shines through these windows. I can only imagine in its heyday that this would have been the place to come. I walked around and there's a few other spots, but nothing like this. This must have been the heart of Rocky Ridge, where after a hard day's work, you come here, take a load off, connect with people. Because like I said, it was a true community here. You know, housings were tight, bunched up with each other, but that's the way people here preferred it. I can only imagine with all of the separation and division in Night City that this must have felt like nothing else. And it's crazy that it's just a little over a mile away from Santo Domingo, which is thankfully doing pretty well still. But it is quite weird walking through this area. And as far as I've seen, nobody. Maybe they're hiding. Sometimes I do get this feeling that I'm being watched, but that could just be my own nerves. I'm gonna call my car quick. I'm gonna drive just a little bit up this road, and I'll show you a pretty cool spot. You can see city sign, Night City, 1.2 miles away. You can even see the more industrial side of Santo Domingo. Here's the Sunset Motel. Has been here for quite a while. And it's nice to see that it is still in business. And I can only imagine it must have been doing quite well during the heyday of Rocky Ridge, being the motel between Night City and the outskirts. We got this cute little couple taking in the scenery. It's very early in the morning, the sun is still coming up, but it is quite nice. And now you can start to see those buildings a bit more clear. It's quite a fascinating little place. And has the coolest little old-fashioned diner dive bar. You can take a seat at the bar or at the booths. And as you can see, it's still a place to come out, hang out. And it has a very chill vibe. When you're walking downtown or through the city, everyone's walking fast and it's go, go, go. But out here, people are a little bit, people take their time. And I think us street kids could learn a thing or two from just taking the time to hang out and relax. Of course, you got plenty of vending machines. Almost a staple of Night City. And yeah, one has to wonder what will this place look like in the future. I'm hoping it stays because it seems to have its own charm. Its own characteristic. And even though I've never been patron of this area, it would be sad to find out if it was no longer here. And plenty of rooms if you want. It's always good to take a moment to focus on your breathing, whatever pace works for you. And now, let's go into the city a little bit. And we'll see how just a couple miles everything changes. The way everything connects always fascinates me. There's still decent jobs, and actually some of the nicest properties, maybe not on the looks, but people pay a lot of money for property out here because you really can't get that in the city. Everyone is stacked. But out here, you have room to breathe. And as you can see, some nice houses here. You know, maybe they're not fancy, but again, for the people that own them, this is theirs and they worked for it. And they're not going to give it up. Not anytime soon. And especially if you work out here, this would be a great place to live. Now, just gonna here. You can see there was a pretty big fire years ago that obliterated this little section. And that is the thing about this part of the city, is that nothing's being rebuilt. At least, not yet. There have been some properties that are repaired and restored, but just like other places in Night City, some things have just been abandoned. And even though it looks a little rough, it's honestly not the scariest place in Night City at all. But of course, there are gang activities out here, so that is something to be mindful for. But it's just sort of the way of life in this part of the world. And I really like these kind of old school apartment complexes. You know, it'd be interesting to see what this would have looked like when everything was new, you know. Because when business was good out here, undeniable, it was a very desirable place to move to. And I think if you were blue collared and wanted to start a family, Santo Domingo was a place to be. And in some ways, I think it still is. But it's definitely been hit hard. And I think, much like Pacifica, it has a reputation of being a little rough, but again, I think there are way more good, hardworking people here trying to make a living, trying to support and raise their families. And a lot of them, this is their home and they have no intention of leaving it. And unlike Pacifica, which I feel like is a lot of work and, social and economic injustices that need to be fixed before anything can really progress in turning that around. Very different circumstances. In many ways, Santo Domingo is thriving. there are plenty of well-paying jobs out here still. And there's definitely not a stigma of the worst place in the world like Pacifica gets. I mean, heck, if I had a job out here, I wouldn't be opposed to living out here. It's just like any other city, just like that. Just avoid the trouble. And I know sometimes it comes to you, but if you're thinking ahead and being smart and cautious, you'll be okay. It really is a nice day out. The way the sun just hits off these buildings, it's beautiful. Trash everywhere. But you'll see trash in Charter Hill, North Oak, Wellspring. So some people might look at that and say, oh, what a dump, but take a look around the city and it's really not much different. And in a way, I think that's kind of cool. We're all in this together. We're definitely experiencing it different, but I think that we're all in it together. And as I'm walking to here, I could definitely see the appeal of living here. Feels pretty nice in this area. Wherever there's an overpass, there's a little mini village, I would say. People living in not so great circumstances. But like everyone else, they're trying to figure it out, trying to make the best of it. So, no judgment on that. We're all just trying to get by, trying to survive, aren't we? I really like the blues and the grays. And you got this nice blue sky, some clouds. And as you can see, as we get closer, cities starting to come alive a little more. I mean, look at this. You got people, kids walking about, just off living their life, doing their thing. Let's cut through here. Trying to be mindful of my breathing. If you want to take it in, just relax, loosen your shoulders, take that deep breath. One if that's all you want, or take a few. And you'll start to feel better. I know I am. Now you might look at these places and you see just random furniture and junk outside, but that's kind of just how Santo Domingo is. I mean, really, the city just has this everywhere. I mean, if you really look, it's everywhere. So it's just your night city experience. You can see you got this freeway being built, and like many big construction jobs, it's taking a very, very long time. But as far as right now, it hasn't been abandoned. It's still moving forward. That's not always the case in Night City. Again, like I was mentioning in Pacifica, a big part of that was all the construction and contract jobs that were pulled. Leading to everyone leaving that area. And the people that stayed are tough and rough characters. Let's just say that. And look at that. A little bit of nature. You can see, a pretty well maintained park. Now, I don't live here and I don't come this way too often, but I've seen videos and footage of nighttime leagues going on here. I don't know if it's as big as it was, but it's nice to see that it's still pretty nice, which I think really helps for the happiness and well-being of this city. Of course, you got high school right here. It's always funny when there are just so many vending machines. But it's kind of something you might take for granted. The amount of times I get a snack, drink, or a meal from a vending machine is actually a little bit higher than I would maybe like to admit to myself, but it's so easy, convenient, and cheap. And from where I'm from, we don't have vending machines like that back home. So I try not to take it for granted. And now we've been walking around for a little bit, and it seems fine. You know, people going about their business. And I think this is still a nice place to live. And like I was saying about the housing situation, I think it's a little bit more desirable to live here than anyone would really think. Well, of course you have the fallen over Ferris wheel, kind of an iconic place out here. Still a bit of a tourist attraction. Although I don't know if necessarily a lot of tourists come out this way. But is like a hidden gem. If you have never been to Capitan Caliente, you're missing out. See, there's a lot of people. The food is good here. The prices are fair. Portions good. Let's just take a look at this menu. Got grilled sausage, burgers, spicy pizza. Now, even though this is kind of more of a burger joint, I would say that spicy pizza, pretty damn good. Then you have coffee, tea, juice. Pretty much anything you get on that menu, it's going to be good. So, whatever you're in the mood for, whatever your taste buds are, you won't be disappointed. And obviously, it's daytime, but at night, that Ferris wheel will still light up, which is pretty interesting. And I think that's probably why you still see people hanging out over there, because it's still an attraction. And I think just like any neighborhood, any area you live in, for anyone that's lived here for a while, they take pride in this area. It's not perfect, but for many, it's home. And it offers a community and a place to thrive. If you're willing to put in the work, you can make it out here. Just gonna avoid them. Like I said, part of survival out in Night City is keeping your head down and just knowing when to stay out of trouble. And there's still many shops. And what's fascinating is it's a lot of local businesses. Obviously, in the city, there tends to be more chains, although, of course, there's plenty of independently owned businesses. But I think here it's a little more prominent with that. People are proud of where they're from here, and they want to contribute to their community in a big way. In any part of the world you've ever been to, food is always kind of the soul of a city. And there are plenty of great restaurants, while this also isn't as prosperous as when that dam was first being built and bringing in jobs, creating jobs. It's still a very integral part of the community, and a lot of people are still getting work because of that. So I think that's a really good thing. And I think, I don't know, maybe many of us that live in Night City take that dam for granted because it really structured the city. And again, I'm not a native. I don't know all of the effects and impacted the city, but basically what I've come to learn is that if it wasn't for that dam, the city wouldn't be what it is. Whatever way, shape, or form that is, that I'm not sure, but I don't know, maybe it's because it holds it back from flooding. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not even gonna speculate on it. Now you can see far away from Rocky Ridge. It's a very unique side to the city. And I doubt if you've only lived that corporal life that you've ever ventured out this way. Well, alright, I think that's a good spot to stop it at. I'd like to thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed seeing the different side of Night City, and maybe you've come to appreciate that there's more to the city than just the, skyscrapers and the corporate downtown. Outside of it, there is a thriving, beautiful place to live.